You know, we all think we know recycling, tossing a bottle into the blue bin. Easy, right? But that simple act, it's just the tip of the iceberg of a massive, super complex, and rapidly changing industrial system. So today we're going way beyond the bin to explore this global revolution that's totally remaking recycling, a system being driven by some high-stakes economics, brilliant innovation, and brand new policies that are changing the whole game.
So what really happens after your stuff gets picked up from the curb? We kind of picture this perfect, neat little circle. But the reality, well, it's more like a winding, global journey full of surprising challenges and some pretty fascinating solutions.
And that journey kicks off with a fundamental conflict, a real tug-of-war that defines the whole system, the recycling dilemma.
Okay, so this is the core tension right here. On one hand, it's an absolute environmental necessity. I mean, we have to conserve resources and cut down on waste. But on the other hand, you've got the cold, hard economic reality. Collecting, sorting, and reprocessing all this stuff is incredibly expensive, and a lot of the time, the final recycled product, it just doesn't sell for enough to cover the costs.
And the scale of this money problem? It is staggering. In 2020, the true global cost of managing our waste, once you factor in all the hidden health and environmental damage, hit $361 billion. That's not just paying for garbage trucks, you know. It's a massive, planetary-sized financial puzzle we have to solve.
And here's another wrinkle. A lot of what we call recycling is actually downcycling. That means a plastic bottle doesn't magically become another new bottle. Instead, it gets turned into something of lower quality, like carpet fiber. Now sure, that's better than a landfill, but it's not a true circle. The real goal, the gold standard, is what companies like Dell are doing with their closed-loop supply chains, turning old computer parts back into the exact same new parts, preserving all that value.
So how do we solve this thing? The answer isn't just trying harder. It's about fundamentally rewriting the rules of the entire game. And that's exactly where innovators and policymakers are focusing right now.
One of the biggest ideas out there is a policy called Extended Producer Responsibility, or EPR. And this is a total game changer. It basically flips the script. It shifts the responsibility for our product's end of life, all the cost and hassle of recycling it, away from us, the taxpayers, and puts it squarely on the shoulders of the company that made the product in the first place.
And this isn't just some theory, it's really happening. In France, their Refashion program makes clothing companies deal with their own textile waste. Over in California, Paint Care does the same for leftover paint. Look, the thinking here is pretty simple, right? When the company that makes the thing also has to pay the recycling bill, you better believe they get a powerful financial incentive to design products that are way easier and cheaper to recycle from the get-go. So that pressure, it forces a complete redesign from the ground up. It starts with what's called design for disassembly. Think using screws instead of super strong glue so things can actually be taken apart. Then you've got monomaterials, making a product from one type of plastic instead of 5 different kinds. And finally, standardizing components. A really cool example is Timberland's Timberloop platform. They design shoes so the sole can be easily popped off, allowing each part to go into its own perfect recycling stream. It's just smart.
But okay, smart design and new policies are one thing. What about the stuff that's just a nightmare to recycle? That's where we're seeing some incredible new tech emerge for tackling the absolute toughest trash.
This quote just nails the problem perfectly. Trying to recycle complex composites, the kind of stuff used in airplanes and wind turbine blades, isn't like sorting Lego bricks. The materials are chemically fused together. Trying to get them apart is literally like trying to unbake a cake and get your flour, eggs, and sugar back. It's pretty much impossible.
And this unbakeable cake problem, it is huge. Just take wind turbine blades. By 2030, Europe alone is going to be facing over 52,000 tons of these massive composite blades that need to be dealt with every single year. And until very recently, the only answer we had was to just bury them in a landfill.
But now, a chemical breakthrough from a project called e.Circular is starting to do the impossible. They've developed a new process that not only disassembles the composite materials, but, and this is the magic trick, it chemically converts the epoxy resin, the glue holding it all together, back into brand new virgin-grade materials. This means old turbine blades can actually become a resource for new ones. The cake can finally be unbaked.
Okay, so all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most critical piece of the whole puzzle, closing the loop. Because let's be honest, recycling is totally pointless if nobody actually uses the stuff that gets recycled.
This is where something called circular sourcing comes in.
It's a commitment by manufacturers to actually buy and use recycled materials in their new products. A fantastic example of this is Ford partnering with HP. They take the used powder from HP's 3D printers and turn it into fuel line clips for their cars. By doing this, they're creating a guaranteed market for that recycled material, and that demand is what pulls the entire system forward. It makes it all work.
And you know what the ultimate force driving all of this change is? It's us. The data is crystal clear. A whopping 86% of younger consumers are willing to pay more for sustainable packaging. We are voting with our wallets. And that sends a massive signal to every company out there. Sustainability isn't just a nice PR move anymore, it's a core business imperative.
So really, when you step back and look at the whole picture, you see that recycling is truly transforming. It's evolving from just a simple personal act into a super sophisticated global industrial system, one that's being powered by new policies, amazing design, and powerful market demand.
So, this leaves us with one final thought. As this entire system gets redesigned from the top down, the question for all of us changes too. It's no longer just, hey, do you recycle? It's more like, as a consumer, as an employee, as a citizen, what's your role going to be in closing the loop?